It's time for Mr. Fundamental!
Presented by no one.
Even after losing Kawhi Leonard, the Toronto Raptors are going strong this season for a repeat. Lowry, Nick Nurse, improvements by Siakam, Van Fleet, and Anunoby, and other names has come up as the reason for performing better than last season, while all their other vets and role players are excelling at their roles. Hidden among all these players is one that didn't get a chance to play until the injuries hit, and also the one that could be key for the Raptors in the playoffs. This man is Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. While his numbers definitely don't jump off the board, and no one expects much for a developmental project signed to a 1-year, $2.5 million contract, but what he brings to the table could be the X factor, so let's check it out. Hollis-Jefferson has made a name for himself as a high-energy defender even before joining the NBA. That's what he hung his hat on during his Nets days, and also what got him more and more playing time throughout the season. His box score defensive stats isn't spectacular, but it's always the subtle things that he does. On the pin down, Hollis-Jefferson and McCall are going to switch, so he tells McCall to sink and go under the screen. McDermott reads this and goes backdoor. Normally, this would be a layup, since the defender doesn't see the pass coming. Hollis-Jefferson has the experience and instantly turns his head. He also keeps his arms up between passing lanes and gets a deflection here. Again with the Pacers, the Raptors are in the zone. Hollis-Jefferson calls out the switch on the handoff. When the ball reverses, he zones up two players. When Sabonis gets the ball, check out how both his hands are wide open, closing up any passing lanes. Sabonis tries to force the pass, and Hollis-Jefferson gets the steal. His hustle is off the charts, but add on that defensive IQ. He's a disruptive defender without taking too much risk. In this pick and roll, he leaves Butler just long enough so that Harrell doesn't pass to Leonard, then immediately denies Butler the ball. When the heat resets, Hollis-Jefferson seemed like he was on skates, but his hustle allows him to recover and contest a shot into an airball. Against Cat, he seemed out-muscle and out-length, if that's even a word. The Raptors bring the double and triple team, while Hollis-Jefferson puts enough pressure on Cat to throw off his hook shot. We all know how Anunoby and Siakam are versatile defenders, and the Raptors will probably put them on the opposing team's best scorer. Well, based on some research on The Athletic, Hollis-Jefferson has guarded each position for at least 17.7% of his minutes, while spending 29% of his time on the floor defending the opponent's first or second option. A quick look at his defensive metrics. These look even more impressive, given the time and quality of his defensive assignments. He's willing to push up and put pressure, knowing his team would cover for him on blow-bys, and gets around the screen well enough to recover. Later in the game, they put him on Bam, and his pressure forces the offense to run much further out. When McCall gets screened off, check out how Hollis-Jefferson knew to contest. 1. The clock was winding down. 2. Dragic's signature is the step back, so when he planted his left foot, he already knew to contest before Dragic even gets into the motion. He's on Bam again, and most teams would sag off. Hollis-Jefferson applied pressure because of the Heat's deadly shooters, and they forced a turnover. The Raptors played him at center against the Wolves, and he gets low to force Cat further out the post. This forces Cat to face up and gets called for the offensive foul. Later in the game, they got him switching onto D'Lo. Again, he's not the quickest, tallest, or strongest, but his hustle and energy makes up for that. When the Wolves reset, D'Lo hits him with a few crossovers. Hollis-Jefferson does a good job staying in front while applying pressure as well. Check out how D'Lo tried to draw the foul on the pull-up, but Hollis-Jefferson gets his hands out of the way, forcing the awkward shot. He's not a game-changing defender, but he does the best he can and plays his part well. He starts on Booker, but the step-up screen gets him on Baines. Even though this is a mismatch, strength-wise, he doesn't get too caught up with Baines and still aware he needs to step up to challenge the drive. The Knicks had the numbers with Davis down on the other end. Hollis-Jefferson realizes this and picks up Ntilikina, so Ibaka doesn't have to. Once he sees Ntilikina is about to set the screen, that's when he doubles to force the ball out of the post. He's helping on the pick and roll. Check out how he's contesting the shot with one hand, while trying to deflect the pass with his other limbs. After the kick out, he boxed out Baines, who had deep position, and that's a very, very tough task. Moving to the other end of the floor, he's a first-tile defender who can't shoot. My first thought would be Andrea Roberson. But even without a reliable 3-ball, Hollis-Jefferson actually adds value to the Raptors' offense. One thing both him and Roberson has in common is their offensive rebounding. He's ranked 7th in offensive boards among players playing under 20 minutes, and the only one who's under 6'6". They're constantly running in and generating extra possessions for their team. But that's where the similarity ends. Hollis-Jefferson benefits from a balanced floor with capable shooters around him, allowing him to be the roller after the screen. Only Boucher exceeds his efficiency and frequency as the pick-and-roll roll man, since most of the Raptors' bigs mixes up their roles with pops as well. Although Hollis-Jefferson gets these opportunities, his ability to finish over bigs is underestimated. His ability to guard bigs also allows bigs to guard him due to his lack of range. Listed at just 6'6", and possibly even 6'4" or 6'5" without shoes, he does a great job using his speed to get by bigger defenders, or use his momentum to generate space for the finish. Flashback to his Nets days, he was actually one of their top scorers in the 2017-18 season, working around the mid-post area. The Raptors let him go to work when the offense gets stagnant, since wings can't match his physicality, while bigs can't match his quickness and second jump. Defenses has tried to stop the Raptors' offense by running zones, and Hollis-Jefferson's game could be a great counter. Defenses aren't worried about a jumper from him, but his quickness lets him attack Leonard deep in the paint, and outjumps him for the acrobatic finish. His ability to finish over bigs or outjump bigs won't give him tunnel vision, and makes the right play by dumping it off to Ibaka for the slam. The high post and dunker spot are critical positions to attack the zone. This allows him and other bigs to interchange their positions. Sure, you could say putting any player at the dunker spot will let them excel, but check out this play. Van Fleet has a mismatch, forcing D'Lo to shadow. Okogie tried to zone up both Hollis-Jefferson and Anunoby. Hollis-Jefferson counters with a seal-off on Okogie. Van Fleet makes the wrong choice of throwing the skip pass to Anunoby, but Hollis-Jefferson snatches it in the air and finishes with a reverse. His lack of spacing isn't too much of a problem on a Raptors team loaded with shooting, and that's due to his feel for the game and cutting at the right time. On the sideline handoff, Bam is sagging off him in case he needs to rotate down. Hollis-Jefferson knows his limitations and doesn't settle for the jumper. Instead, he curls off the catch, beats Bam to the spot, and draws the foul. The Sixers messed up their defensive coverage, and Horford rotates over. A well-timed cut by Hollis-Jefferson leads to a good look at the rim that he just couldn't finish. Of course, adding a jumper will make him even more valuable, and he's already making strides despite of what the numbers say. He's a decent mid-range shooter, but the real improvement is his mechanics. Here's a side-by-side on catch-and-shoot threes. His changes are similar to Justice Winslow, with their set point being lower instead of over their head. This allows more rhythm and lets them release the ball on the way up, rather than hanging in the air. As evident by his earlier DNPs, the Raptors might not even need him at full strength, but he could be a key piece if injury strikes, or against certain matchups. The Raptors have the bigs to match up with the Bucks, Pacers, and Sixers, but against teams who run a lot of small ball, like the Celtics, Hollis-Jefferson is a great option if they need to downsize. With Embiid stopper and Marc Gasol losing weight, maybe he can't handle the strength of brute bigs anymore, so the Raptors could use an opposite strategy by going small, and Hollis-Jefferson had a great series as the small ball 5 against the Sixers last year. Plus, switch pull defenders are only effective if you have multiple of them. Anunoby and Siakam are great, but if you throw in Hollis-Jefferson as well, you'll start to get the feel of the Warriors' death lineup. Just look at how dominant they are as a trio in their limited run. Personally, I think their center's aggressiveness on the offensive end, especially Gasol, is still the X factor, but Hollis-Jefferson could be a close second. His style of play really reminds me of Gerald Wallace. Whether a team would be willing to make him their first option is another question, and really unlikely. He's already a good player to have now, who's worth more than his $2.5 million contract, and could be even more valuable if his jumper progresses. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like down below and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.